The Deadpool Killer, the chilling case of Wade Stephen Wilson. Cape Coral, Florida. A picturesque suburban paradise where neighbors chat over white picket fences and palm trees sway gently in the breeze. But in 2019, the calm of this serene community shattered, sending ripples of fear and disbelief across the nation. 2 brutal murders, cold, calculated, and heinous, pierced the heart of this small town. At the center of it all was a man whose name is as infamous as his crimes. Wade Stephen Wilson, born May 20th, 1994, could have been just another face in the crowd. Instead, his name earned him a chilling moniker, the Deadpool Killer, a dark nod to the Marvel antihero he shared his name with. This is no tale of comic book heroics or fictional antiheroes. This is a story rooted in reality, a terrifying look at a man's descent into violence, 2 innocent lives cut short, and a community scarred forever. We explore the life, crimes, and trial of Wade Stephen Wilson, piecing together the shadows he cast on a quiet suburban dream. Who was Wade Stephen Wilson before the nightmare began? To understand the murderer, we must look at his past, a life marred by instability, recklessness, and a growing tendency for violence. Wilson's criminal history dates back to 2012, well before the events that would define him as a killer. Arrest records outline a troubled youth who frequently brushed against the law. Petty theft, drug charges, and escalating aggression painted the portrait of a man spiraling out of control. Each line in his rap sheet whispered a warning, one that went unheeded until it was too late. By 2019, Wilson was a ticking time bomb. The fuse was short, the explosion inevitable. His earlier transgressions were precursors to something far darker brewing beneath the surface. But why? Was it the system that failed to intervene, or was Wilson destined to take this sinister path? The shock began early in October 2019 with the murder of Christine Melton. A vibrant 35-year-old woman, Christine failed to show up for work one day. Concerned friends and family quickly reported her missing. Soon after, police conducted a welfare check at her home, where they found her lifeless body inside. The crime scene spoke of brutality, strong enough to make experienced officers pause in grim silence. Signs pointed to a violent struggle, a life extinguished with no mercy. Evidence began to pour in, but answers were difficult to piece together. Barely a week later, Diane Ruiz, another local woman, went missing. Diane's disappearance sparked an immediate sense of dread among the community. Could it be connected, or was the town facing a greater nightmare? On October 7th, those fears were realized when Diane's body was found, abandoned in a desolate area, strangled to death. 2 women, 2 murders in less than a week. Cape Coral faced an undeniable reality. The investigation soon connected both murders to a single name, Wade Stephen Wilson. Witnesses, physical evidence, and an undeniable pattern pointed toward him. The Deadpool Killer was officially unmasked. As news broke of Wade Stephen Wilson's arrest, the media seized on an unusual detail, his name. Sharing the name of Marvel's irreverent antihero Deadpool, Wilson garnered a nickname that would cement his case into public consciousness, the Deadpool Killer. Headlines exploited the connection for shock value, turning a brutal crime spree into a macabre spectacle. Some editorialized the tragedy, conflating fact and fiction for titillating effect. The name alone became an unsettling punchline, diverting attention from the brutal reality of Christine and Diane's murders. Yet beneath the sensationalism, ethical questions arose. Did the media's focus on the nickname strip dignity from the victims and glamorize the perpetrator? True crime enthusiasts and journalists alike debated whether the public's morbid fascination did more harm than good. The trial of Wade Stephen Wilson was as high profile as the crimes themselves, drawing attention from far beyond Florida. Prosecutors painted the picture of a dangerous criminal, one whose path escalated toward inevitable murder. They detailed the brutal killings with chilling clarity. Testimonies from investigators matched forensic evidence, tying Wilson unequivocally to both murders. Family members of the victims brought raw emotion to the courtroom. Their impact statements pulsated with heartbreak and anger, demanding justice for the lives stolen too soon. Wilson's defense faced an uphill battle. Attempts to argue for mental instability or a lack of intent held little weight against the overwhelming evidence. The jury's decision came swiftly. In 2024, Wade Stephen Wilson was sentenced to death for the murders of Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz. The courtroom, packed with spectators, watched as their small-town nightmare culminated in legal retribution. Yet even with justice served, the haunting weight of the crimes lingered. What compels a person to commit such heinous acts? Wade Stephen Wilson's story left behind significant questions about his psychological state. Experts analyzing his descent noted a troubling pattern, a mix of deep-rooted anger, social detachment, and disregard for consequences. Wilson exhibited many of the hallmarks of a dangerous criminal who could escalate to murder. His prior crimes were not random. They were stepping stones to a much darker path. But beyond Wilson's own predispositions, there's another question. Could the system have done more? With a rap sheet stretching years, why wasn't his behavior adequately addressed? Was he simply another individual who slipped through the cracks, destined to wreak havoc on innocent lives? The answers may never be fully clear, but Wilson's case serves as a dark reminder of the cost of ignoring criminal escalation. The quaint charm of Cape Coral was forever changed by the horrors of 2019. Fear gripped the town in the weeks after Christine and Diane's deaths. Neighbors locked their doors, kept close watch on their surroundings, and talked about little else. But in the aftermath of Wade Stephen Wilson's conviction, the healing process began. Communities came together to mourn the lost and support their grieving families. Memorial events for Christine and Diane became a statewide call for justice and safety, marking their legacies in time. Families of the victims shared their journeys of grief, recounting the irreplaceable voids left behind. For them, the pain goes beyond the headlines. It's a daily struggle to rebuild their lives in the face of unimaginable loss. Cape Coral, once a peaceful suburb, now tells a cautionary tale of vigilance and resilience in the face of evil. The tragic case of the Deadpool Killer reveals unsettling truths about our society. It raises pressing concerns about the systems meant to protect us. Wade Stephen Wilson's life of crime was well documented, yet his ability to escalate to double murder suggests deep flaws in criminal justice oversight. Could earlier intervention have prevented his descent into brutality? What role do mental health resources and rehabilitation programs play in cases like this? And how do we balance the rights of offenders while protecting the potential victims society leaves vulnerable? Wilson's case serves as a dark mirror reflecting our collective failings. Change on a systemic level is vital if we're to prevent such horrors from recurring. The chilling case of Wade Stephen Wilson, the Deadpool Killer, stands as a grave reminder of the fragility of safety and justice. Two innocent women, Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz, were taken too soon, their vibrant lives reduced to tragic headlines. This story is not just about a nickname or grim fascination. It's about the loss, the fear, and the flaws in systems that might have prevented this tragedy. Above all, it's about the resilience of a community and the enduring fight for justice by those left behind. As the case closed with Wilson's death sentence, Cape Coral began to heal. But the legacy of these crimes continues to linger, urging us to examine not only the criminal but the cracks in our society that allowed him to wreak havoc. Christine and Diane deserved better. Let their names echo louder than the moniker of their killer. Their stories are not just statistics. They are solemn reminders of lives stolen too soon.